She thinks I'm absolutely going to cheat on her. Many people did, I understand, thinks that if I look at anyone then I can't be fully happy with her, etc. I have no plans of ever acting on anything. I know for a fact I will never cheat on her like that. BC the bond that we share and intimacies we gain from being together will always outweigh any 5 seconds of fun and lifetime of regrets and damage done to someone you love. I hate dates even. Me and my current GF would fight because I didn't want to even have phone calls with her at first, in the first 2 months, so obviously I'm really not the outgoing type who would feel compelled or even slightly comfortable doing stuff like that. A few months into the relationship, I was looking at a NSFW, local location, Reddit. It was wrong of me, very wrong. I will never do that again. I'm sorry about it. I understand how hurtful and scary that would be and what it would look like and raise the suspicion of. I was never going to meet up with anyone. I admitted that I thought it was hot they were somewhat close to me, and that was that. Obviously she was hurt and more scared for the future. We're now about 6 months past that. The current thing bringing it up, she saw I looked at one of her friend's story the other day, one with cleavage. At work. I wouldn't do that sort of thing in front of her. I don't want to do it at all, but I did, and what she's upset about is understandable. She told some friends about it and they're almost all saying what her fears are, that if a man looks at anyone, they aren't fully happy with their relationship, are looking to meet someone else, that they will never stop doing so, won't love you 100%, everything. I know I would never cheat on her. She is counting looking at the story as emotional cheating and tells me that I actually already have, and that I'll do it again. Slightly relevant is that we've been more busy lately and she's had some health issues, so we didn't do anything sexual for 4 months, not even kissing for more than maybe 10 seconds. I'm not trying to say that that makes it okay to look at anyone else, I'm just trying to give some further context. I had a very low contact, low intimacy relationship where we didn't do anything sexual for over a year and a half, and I never felt actually loved in other ways besides sexual things. This makes me kind of sensitive to feeling unwanted physically, sexually, or not. Not really related, ATP just venting I guess. Besides this next point, I didn't cheat then, and I don't love the previous person like I do my new GF, at all lol. If I was going to cheat, I'd have done so before, but I hadn't. I understand that I made a mistake, and that I was hurtful. If she is upset about that with me, I get it. But I wish that I could convince her, which is a big part my fault anyway, that I am happy with her, I do love her, I would never meet up, message, or develop any kind of romantic attachment, even in my head. And I most certainly wouldn't, and have never, checked out someone in front of her, out in public or even on my phone nearby. I know that's disrespectful, but that sometimes people notice attractiveness for a second and it's bound to happen at times. But I would never be so bold to gawk, ogle, double take anything like that. I don't even know that I've ever commented on a fictional person on TBH like oh she's cute unless I'm directly asked. I don't want to upset her and make her feel more self-conscious or anxious that I would cheat on her. What do you guys think? Are either of us over or underreacting? How can I do better and prove that I'm loyal and attracted, that she's enough? Build her confidence more. Is a wandering eye in privacy on occasion a natural/normal thing? Some say that. I still think it's wrong, and she has every right to be upset about it, but in let's say a 10-year marriage, never a glance, even in complete privacy, I think that could be hard for either gender. And looking is much different than any form of seeking out or action. My partner and I have been going through a tough time over the last month. I discovered he was flirting with another woman through work and he said he put a stop to it as soon as it happened. Part of that hurt my trust with him, and when asked if he could stop talking to her he would refuse, at first. Sometime later, we're still having a hard time and he decides to go to a bar on his own to clear his mind. He mentioned only inviting a couple of his guy friends, but I wondered if he invited the girl he flirted with earlier on claiming to strictly be friends. He never did mention her. When he gets home, curiosity gets the best of me, so I go through his messages on his watch and discover that he did invite her. She never did respond, so I'm assuming she never went. Regardless, when I asked him if he invited anyone else, he said no. I then asked if he invited her and he also said no. I asked him to be honest and he got upset with me, asking why can't I trust him. It was then that I showed him his watch and what I found. This further hurt my ability to trust him and his word. Fast forward about another week, I notice he's texting someone through his phone a lot more than usual. He doesn't really have any close friends, and the friends he does have, he only messages for maybe 30 minutes to 1 hour max. This particular night, he was going back and forth with someone on his phone for over 4 hours. Given my trust feels skewered at this point, I reach for his watch when he's not around, again, to look through messages. Something that is so out of my moral character, but my gut told me something was weird. Turns out he's talking to another female coworker through work. Didn't see any clear signs of flirting, mostly harmless chit-chat with a few questionable messages here and there. She never really reciprocated said questionable texts, so I wasn't too worried. I later asked him the following morning who he was talking to for so long the previous night. He said he was only talking to his guy friends. I looked at him and asked him to please be honest. He did his thing where he got upset with me again. Asked why I couldn't trust him, the whole charade. When I brought up her name, he went silent. He had lied to me a third time. He felt guilty about it and said from here on he was willing to make a change. To allow me to see who he was talking to when I asked, and that he'd stopped talking to the first girl that started the betrayal of trust. All these brings me down to my main point/concern. About a couple weeks after these interactions, we've had arguments that eventually led us to being distant with each other both emotionally and physically. Earlier today, we're hanging out in our living room and he's playing his game. He becomes increasingly irritated the more he played, but there was an outside factor other than his game playing into his frustration. Work! It got so bad to a point he couldn't focus and got up to lay down in bed. Me, still worried and knowing I still care about him, I go in the room to help ease the frustration. I do this through physical touch, my main love language. I make him take deep breaths while I put pressure on his chest. I rub his head/play with his hair, scratch his arms, massage his legs, etc. It was enough to take the edge off and soothe him, which was my end goal. We're laying in bed on opposite ends just holding each other while we scroll on our phones. He goes to put his phone down and at a very quick glance, I notice he's on an app or some website. The main color scheme of said app/site was red like a red border all around the screen with white boxes through the middle. It's hard to explain given I only saw it for a split second as he went to place his phone down. I asked what he was scrolling on, and he said Facebook. I told him what I saw and that it couldn't have been Facebook. Suddenly, his entire demeanor shifted and he moved close to me and started hugging me. Tightly. Out of nowhere. Aside from me coming in the room to comfort him, we had not been physically close in a couple weeks. So for him to suddenly hold me tight and tell me how much he missed me threw me off. I asked if he would be willing to show me what he was scrolling on. He didn't deny doing so but kept shifting me by saying I just want to be held for a minute. And every time I'd bring it back up, it felt there was a way he would distract me. I decided to let it go in the moment because I had missed this connection with him. After some time we get up, use the bathroom, etc. I asked him if he could show me, and he said that there wasn't anything there. Suddenly that app/site was nowhere to be found. He said he was just clearing out apps before his phone down and has no idea what I could have seen. The thing is, that app/site was still on his phone before he turned it off, so it should have been in his recent somewhere. And it wasn't. I asked him to just please be honest with me, and he claims that he truly is and has absolutely no idea what I could have seen. He says he has no clue what could have been up. I told him I'll make the choice to trust what he's telling me and that he's being honest because I'm honestly sick of the arguing and the lack of any connection recently, but something just isn't adding up and my gut tells me he's being dishonest. He's good at making himself seem like he's telling the truth. Had I not had evidence those last couple of times to catch him, he would have gotten away with lying to me. I know the description I gave of the app/site wasn't enough, but if anyone can give me any idea as to what he could have possibly been hiding, it would hopefully clear some things up. Like I said, this app or site or whatever was a mostly darkish, vibrant red color scheme. He was willing to show me what apps he had sold to me, that points it out to being a website? I don't know. All I know is my gut is screaming that he isn't telling me the truth and is getting away with it this time. I can't stop thinking about it and I don't know what to do moving forward. Edit, for some added context, We've been together for 8 years, have a house together, and are getting ready to meet our first baby girl in the next 2 weeks.